Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen and council. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I'm going to start with a short prayer. Thank you, Father, once again for all your blessings. First of all, Father, thank you for the lovely weather we have, for the harvest. Keep our farmers safe. Keep all our residents safe in whatever harvest they're doing and whatever work they do. Keep them all safe. Bless this council today. Bless our taxpayers and their families. Keep them safe. Give us wisdom today as we do order in this council today. And thank you once again, Father, for all your many blessings. Amen. All right, I have an agenda in front of me. I'm wondering if there's any additions to the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Reeve. Members of the Council Administration is recommending additions to the agenda. 9.6, Infrastructure Services. Under 9.6.1, Bridge File 74564, Range Road 420, Brown Creek Tender Update. And under 12, Closed Session, 12.3, Outstanding Development Agreement, FOIP, Section 24.
Is there any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to adopt. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion to adopt the amended agenda. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. I'm looking for the adoption of the minutes of the August 22nd meeting, 2023.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Slipchik, for making a motion to adopt the regular meeting of council minutes, August 22, 2023, as presented. Any discussion on this, gentlemen? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Okay, we're going to change it up here a little bit because we got a little one here and we don't want to make the little one wait. We're going to go to 8 subdivision applications and 8.3, please. All right. Sorry, ladies, I should have gave you a bit of a warning on that.
Perfect. All right. So good morning.
Morning.
So this application is to consider the subdivision of Southeast 2663 7 west of the 4th, or Plan 832-0518 Block 1. This proposal is in order to create one agricultural parcel of 5 acres along the northern boundary, or as can be seen on the map on attached Appendix A. So the registered owner is proposing the subdivision of the subject parcel. The current area for the quarter section is approximately 103.63 acres. And as I mentioned, the proposed subdivision is for 5 acres. With regards to statutory plans, the municipal development plan, the MDP notes that any quarter section with a soil rating less than 45% is allowed to subdivide a maximum of 20 acres or 4 parcels. The soil rating for the property is noted as 25.1%. This would classify the soil as poor and allow for 20 acres to be subdivided. However, under Section 3.13 of the MDP, the amount of land allowed to be subdivided is prorated based upon the available developable land. In this case, the available amount of land to be subdivided would be prorated due to the portion of land being covered by the Manitokan Lake. Based on the prorated available 20 acres of land, there would be approximately 5 acres of land available left for subdivision. That means any further subdivision beyond this application, should it be approved, would require the implementation of an area structure plan unless otherwise approved by council. So for municipal reserve, based upon the assessment per acre, the MR required would be 10% of $4,138 per hectare. At a proposed subdivision of 2.02 hectares, this amounts to roughly around $835.88. Referrals were sent out to referral agencies and adjacent landowners. No concerns were received regarding this proposed application. And with that, it is noted that this subdivision application meets all of the statutory bylaws and all requirements under the Municipal Government Act. It is therefore being recommended that the subdivision application be approved, subject to the following conditions. One, pursuant to the Section 655 of the Municipal Government Act, the owner developer installs internal road or approaches, including culverts and crossings. 2, pursuant to sections 661 and 662 of the Municipal Government Act, that the owner dedicate to the municipal district of Bonnyville a 5.18 meter wide strip of land for road widening along the entire frontage of the north side of the proposed and remnant parcels. 3, that pursuant to section 666, 667, and 669 of the Municipal Government Act, that the owner pay to the municipal district of Bonnyville 10% of the $4,138 per hectare as cash in lieu for municipal reserve. And 4, pursuant to section 654 of the Municipal Government Act, that all outstanding property taxes be paid. And with that, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
No questions, just looking for a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Slipchik. On behalf of council, the council approves subdivision application number 2023S013 to subdivide a 5-acre parcel from southeast 2663-7 west of the 4th M, Plan 8320518, Block 1, as per condition presented. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. You might as well finish off 1 and 2, and then we'll go to development applications. That's carried, thank you. So we'll go to 8.1.
Good morning.
Morning.
Subdivision file 2023-S-011. Administration has received and is presenting application 2023-S-001 for council consideration, wherein the applicant is proposing to consolidate the existing 2.75 acre parcel into agricultural quarter section southeast 2560-3 west of the 4th Meridian, and furthermore subdivide a 15-acre parcel from agricultural quarter section southeast 2563-3 as shown on the map attached as Appendix A. And down to the next one, please, Wendy. There we go. All right. Notification of the proposed subdivision was mailed to referral agencies and adjacent landowners with a deadline of August 6, 2023 to submit concerns to be considered at the September 12, 2023 council meeting. No concerns have been received regarding this application. The application meets all conditions of Municipal Government Act, subdivision and development regulations, and the Lower Athabasca Regional Plan, Municipal Development Plan, and the Land Use Bylaw, and therefore we recommend it be approved as per the conditions following. Legal and physical access to proposed parcels and remnant, cash in lieu of municipal reserve. The existing lot described as C of T 212-077-897-001 to be consolidated to remnant prior to registration of proposed parcel, and taxes to be paid in full. At this time, administration recommends that council approves the subdivision application 2023-S-011 to consolidate the existing 2.75 acre parcel into agricultural quarter section southeast 2563 west of the 4th meridian, and furthermore subdivide a 15 acre parcel from same quarter section for Kevin Daviduk and Carla Ripken as per the conditions presented.
Thank you. Someone like to make a motion or discussion?
Yeah, I just want to, discussion, I guess, on this first here. There's an approach, if you can bring up the map of the, showing the subdivision would be appreciated. So there's a, on that yellow square on the east side, there's an approach, an existing approach. And I
Okay.
think the condition, one of the conditions is a new approach on that one. And the landowners were requesting that they could just keep that existing approach that's already there.
If the approach meets the requirements of the MD's standards,
Yeah.
that approach may stay in place. However, if it needs to be brought to the MD standard, it would need to be brought up to those specs at that time.
Okay,
So if they prefer to keep that location, that
Yeah.
is a possibility.
okay.
But if it does not meet the standards, it would have to be brought to standard.
So if we approve this now, and it may have to come back to council if they want to approve that, keep that approach, then?
No, it would not have to come back to council. As per the Municipal Government Act, they must have legal physical access to
Yeah.
remnant and to new proposed parcels.
Yeah.
The approach that's in place right now, once our infrastructure services team goes out there, does the review of everything and comes back with what the requirements are of that, as per sight lines, as per culvert size, those sorts of things. If the existing approach meets the requirements of our specs that we have in place now, our new policy 3A007, I believe it is, then it can remain as is. If they need to beef it up, then they need to do the construction to bring it to standard. The location may be fine.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision as presented then.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion on behalf of council. The council approves subdivision application number 2023S0112, to consolidate the existing 2.75 acres parcel into agricultural quarter section southeast 25603 west of the 4th M, as furthermore subdivide a 15-acre parcel from agricultural quarter section southeast 2563 west of the 4th M for Kevin Daviduk and Carla Ripken, as per conditions presented. Any discussion on this motion? Yes, Councillor Slipchuk.
I just want to make sure the landowner knows of the conditions on that approach, that what they have to, the
Yes,
requirements
the
are.
landowner, when I have the initial acceptance of the applications, I go through all of the requirements for the MD regarding the possible conditions to be set in place, and a copy of the standards is given to them at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. On to 8.2.
Subdivision file number 2023-S-012. Administration has received and is presenting subdivision application 2023-S-012 for council consideration, wherein the applicant is proposing to further subdivide an existing 4.32 acre intensive recreational zoned parcel into 3 parcels within quarter section northeast 32-63-4 west of the 4th meridian, as shown on the map attached as Appendix A. Notification of the proposed subdivision was mailed to referral agencies and adjacent owners with a deadline of August 16th, 2023, to submit concerns to be considered at the September 12th, 2023 council meeting. No concerns have been received regarding this application. The application meets all conditions of the Municipal Government Act, Subdivision and Development Regulation, the Lower Athabasca Regional Plan, Municipal Development Plan, and the Land Use Bylaw. Therefore, we recommend to be approved as per the following conditions: legal and physical access to proposed parcels and remnant from Township Road 635A, real property report, commercial waste bins to be placed on all proposed lots, compliance with sewage disposal as per the Alberta Safety Codes Act and Province of Alberta Public Health Act, taxes to be paid in full. At this time, administration recommends that the council approve subdivision application number 2023-S-012 to further subdivide the existing 4.32 acre intensive recreational zoned parcel into 3 new parcels within quarter section Northeast 32, 63-4, Plan 7920537, Block 1, Lot 2, for 757045 Alberta Limited, as per conditions presented.
Thank you. Looking for a motion? Okay, thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion on behalf of council. The council approves subdivision application number 2023S012 to further subdivide existing 4.32 acres intensive recreational zone parcel into 3 new parcels within the quarter section Northeast 3263 4th west of the 4th and Plan 7920537 Block 1 Lot 2 for 757045 Alberta Limited as per the conditions presented. Any discussion on this? Yes, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
Just a question. So in regards to, I know there's, in the past, there've been some water flow issues and access to those property lines. So once this gets subdivided, my concerns are, the access from one to the other. Can they get onto these parcels by themselves? And one more question that I have is the property encroachment to the sightlines of the actual division. Is that property going to be encroaching on the lines?
Wendy, can I get you to bring the aerial back, please?
Sorry, there's about 3 questions there, Lisa.
So each of the individual lots would have to access from Township Road 635A.
Which is to the south?
That would be the actual township road that we have in there.
Okay.
The road that shows to the north is the actual park access.
Correct.
They would not be able to cross the municipal reserve to get in there. So they would have to have their own legal physical access coming off of that township road. That was your first question.
Correct, yes.
Your second question, the encroachment. The encroachment has been, has an agreement in place on the original title for the buildings, the structures that are in place. Now, those 2 buildings that are there, the agreement reads that they may live their life without renovation or improvements, at which time they would be removed, and any subsequent construction would then be brought into compliance at that time.
Okay.
So that's number 2. What was your number 3, sorry?
Yeah, so in regards to like the water flow issues that are happening in there, that's all going to get looked after, I guess, and when they subdivided?
Nothing was brought up by the applicant at the time of application regarding water issues in
Okay.
there. We're not changing the landscape of anything. We are just taking the existing and breaking that into 3 parcels. So I'm not too sure on that, but if council wishes to add a condition or change anything, they have the opportunity to do so now.
I guess it's, like it is buyer beware, but I know during the past there had been some challenges with water flow. So just to be clear, so the approaches are going to be from the Range Road to the south of that map.
The township road
Okay.
to the south, yes.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. You okay there, Mr. Hogan? All right. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
One more question. Just so I can figure this out. So right now, they are using the park as the entrance. So when this gets approved, or, sorry, it is approved right now, but will they be putting the approaches in right away or
The
upon
subdivision,
sale
the parcels cannot be registered without legal physical access being in place
to each one?
to each one.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thanks, have a great day. On to 7.1. going up.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is development permit application 2023-D-180 for Marcel and Suzanne Bordelot. The applicant is applying for a front yard variance from 7.6 meters to 3 meters and a rear yard variance from 30 meters to 22 meters for the construction of a single-family dwelling with garage. The property is located lakefront in the Vezo Beach multi-lot residential subdivision on Moose Lake. Adjacent properties are country residential lots and an undeveloped road allowance. The applicant is applying for a front yard variance from 7.6 meters to 3 meters and a rear yard variance from 30 meters to 22 meters for the construction of a single-family dwelling with garage. The applicant would like to utilize the existing foundation for the new construction. The applicant estimated that the foundation was set back 7.9 meters. A desktop review actually showed 5.4 meters, and a 25% variance was granted. The surveyor plot plan showed the actual position at 3 meters from the front property line. The lots of this subdivision are substandard and do not have an environmental reserve between the rear property line and the high water mark. This makes the lot subject to the setback from section 41, which is 30 meters from the high water mark. Previous applications were approved without consideration for section 41 and were granted a 25-foot or less setback from the high water mark as per section 71.2 Country Residential Resort District setbacks. Many have garages placed closer to the front property line than the 7.6 meters allowable. This variance would bring the building in line with existing garages to the west. As per section 20 of the land use bylaw, variances may be considered when there are practical difficulties unique to the land and when they will not interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring properties. This request would allow the house and garage to sit at similar setbacks in the neighborhood. Adjacent landowner letters were sent out on August 23rd, 2023, and we received no concerns. Our recommendation for development application 2023-D-180 is approve the request for a front yard variance from 7.6 meters to 3 meters and a rear yard variance from 30 meters to 22 meters for the construction of a single-family dwelling with garage as per Part 3, Section 20, and Part 7, Section 71.2 of the Land Use Bylaw with the following conditions. An approved building permit is required as per the Alberta Safety Codes Act. Applicable electrical, gas, plumbing, and sewer permits are required as per the Alberta Safety Codes Act. Building waste material shall be contained on-site in a waste bin or a covered/enclosed trailer. And as per section 71.4 of the Land Use Bylaw, the minimum setback shall be west side yard 1.47 meters as approved by the development officer, east side yard 1.5 meters.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve this development permit.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion. On behalf of council, the council approves development permit application number 2023-D-180 for a front yard variance from 7.6 to 3 meters and a rear yard variance from 30 meters to 22 meters for the construction of a single-family dwelling with a garage within Southeast 961-6 west of the 4th M as discretionary use pursuant to Part 3, Section 20, and Part 7, Section 7.12 of the Land Use Bylaw for Marcel and Suzanne Bordelot as per the recommendation presented. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Carried?
Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. I was daydreaming there for a bit, so thank you for your presentation. Thank you. Okay, on to 9.1, notice of motion, so 9.11. I'm not sure.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve, members of council. As this is Councillor Sipchuk's notice of motion, procedurally, there requires for the motion to be debated, there requires to be a seconder for the motion. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Reeve. So then I read the motion, okay? Do we need to write something down and vote on the, or just need a seconder and that's it?
Seconder, and the motion is as part of the notice of motion that Councillor Sipchuk presented. From there, it would be debate on the motion and any direction to administration to do anything else and to bring back a further report, or just to leave the motion the way it is with whatever direction the motion is provided.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Sipchuk, for making a motion that council directs the Reeve and the Deputy Reeve to schedule regular meetings, preferably monthly, with the mayors of the city of Cold Lake, the town of Bonneville, and the village of Glendon, and with chiefs of the Cold Lake First Nation and Cahiwan Cree Nation, and report back to council on matters discussed. Any discussion on this motion?
Yeah. I would like to hear Councillor Sipchuk elaborate on the reasonings for it and just kind of find out more information about it, so.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to see us build a closer relationship with all the communities and working on, because we got our ICFs coming up. We should have this all done and discussed prior to the date of the ICFs having to be done. Let's discuss what their issues are, our issues are, like everything's costing more nowadays. We got to do more cost sharing with everything and try to help all together, work together as a whole community for the betterment of all residents. That's what I'm looking for.
yeah, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
There's a little bit of confusion for me as to intermunicipal, because like the nations aren't municipal, and we don't have ICFs with them. So I was wondering if we could just separate those on just building relationships versus intermunicipal, because it's not, they're not municipalities, they are First Nations, and they have their own governance, and there's nothing we can do to, with any of that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that on the relationship, putting the relationship in, but I'd like to see us have a relationship with them so maybe we could start working together to help push other things forward environmentally, or like things with parks or with the ski hill, with the ridge and all that stuff. Like, I'd like to have, see them helping us as well as we help them.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Maybe the other mayors don't want to have monthly meetings. Like, how can you force them to have a monthly meeting? Like, you'd have to talk to them first and see if they're in favor of that or not.
Yeah, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
I don't think you have to force anybody to have meetings, but I mean, it's just a phone call away to say, when you want to meet, right? There's a lot of opportunities to meet with them as well, and during different functions, and I think it's important to have those relationships open all the time.
Mr. Reeve, thank you. Maybe we should cross out preferably monthly from that. Now it should be resolved.
I'd rather it not at all, myself. I meet with ministers, I meet with Copeland, I meet with Elise all the time. I was down to First Nations at Cahiwan. I haven't been to Cold Lake, but I did do a presentation at First Nation. I did a reconciliation. I gave a blanket to a Mr. Cahiwan. I gave him a feather. I talked to them about, a roundabout at Elk Point, getting a joint from the Cahiwan with Cahiwan, with the federal. And then I talked to Mr. The Reeve of the St. Paul County. So we're talking, and I asked them to get back to me. They haven't yet, but I talk with these guys all the time. I don't want to have scheduled. I don't think they would want scheduled meetings. I don't think it's scheduled meetings is too much. That's just my view. Yes, Deputy Reeve.
Maybe it's the information that's not being presented maybe by you, that we don't know that you're doing this. I think maybe that's what, maybe the.
Well,
the thing is, right?
I did talk about that at a committee, when I did a committee report once, about visiting even Cahiwen. I did meet with Scott this week. I met with Elisa this week. I've been talking with Elisa for all year to, we have a few issues, and, I can't speak on them right now, but she finally got back to, Al and I went over there, so I talk to them all the time. Any other discussion on this motion? For me, I don't like it at all. To have scheduled meetings like the comment that Councillor Kraviak made, none of them, I'm sure none of their councils have anything, a motion like this that forces them to have scheduled meetings monthly. I highly doubt it, and maybe I'm wrong on that. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's defeated. Thank you. On to 9.1.2. Again, I believe we need a seconder for this motion. Anyone like to second this?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Reeve Fideo, for seconding this motion. This is also moved by Councillor Sipchik that administration be directed on a monthly basis strive to schedule meetings with the provincial ministers that is able to meet, and the Reeve and Deputy Reeve with administrative support be directed to attend these meetings to speak on the behalf of the municipal district of Bonnyville regarding community concerns and issues. Any discussion on this?
Yeah, the
Councillors?
reason for this motion is I'd like to see us have a closer relationship as well there with the provincial government, where we can maybe, like, I haven't had an update, haven't heard nothing what's going on with Highway 28. They say they're doing a study, but
I haven't
we're
heard.
not getting no updates. I think if we get a relationship going there, maybe we get a more open dialogue going with them, as well as with our ridge, like our bridges, like help with funding and stuff and all that. And even our lakes, like our MD parks, like they're utilized very low right now. Maybe with fishery commissioners, we could speak with Minister Lowen about changing our fishing regulations in our lakes. Like, I think that's a big effect with our parks and that, and it's costing us money. And if we can start this dialogue with them on all these issues affecting us that we believe is coming from the provincial end.
Okay. And the Deputy Reeve Fideo.
Yeah, I love this one. I mean, we have to be in their face all the time, and it's I mean, everybody else is doing it, so we have to be right in line. And yeah, I'm 110% in favor of this one.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I guess I tend to think that it's important for us to be in front of the ministers too, and whether it's monthly or some other time, it doesn't matter to me. It can be bi-weekly, monthly, every 6 weeks. The time frame is irrelevant as far as I'm concerned, but we do need to be in front of them. And since the municipalities are a creature of the province, and we need to be getting funding from them for stuff that we need. Our bridges are underfunded, and we're losing funding. Even the tax holiday that they put on the oil wells and stuff, we need to be getting that revenue back where it belongs, and that's in our municipality. So I think it's important that we meet with the ministers.
Well, I think our administration does a great job here, and I think they're reaching out to ministers all the time. I sign things to go to ministers all the time, so I don't know how much more they can do. Maybe they can do a meeting with ministers or reaching out all the time is great, but I think they're reaching out all the time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're reaching out all the time. You know what we need here? We need a minister ourselves from our area. That's one thing we should be pushing for, because we haven't had a minister here forever. And I think that's a sad situation. And next time I meet with the Premier, whenever I do, I'm gonna ask her and the reasoning, because this area supports that party lots, and we don't never have a minister here.
Yeah.
Councillor Kraviak?
Mr. Reeve, thank you. Yeah, we have a chance to meet with ministers during RMA in November and the spring, and any other times we wish to just organize a meeting. It doesn't have to be monthly, myself.
Yes, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
Yeah, you know, when we're in the RMA, it's a very limited time schedule, and they get bombarded by everything. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. The amount of communities out there that are having meetings with ministers that actually go down to the Hill and actually get listened to is staggering. And every time I see that, I get pretty frustrated that we're not in front of them asking whatever we need to ask, or even just updating them on different things or different challenges that we have. I know on the bridge file, I mean, we keep hearing that it's important for us to have an asset management in place, that if we don't have money for bridges, that they're not going to match it. But I'm hearing about the assessment that that model is going to change, and if they don't hear from us on a regular basis about us not liking the new assessment change, they're just going to think that we're okay with it. We're not okay with it, and that message has to come through very clear. I like the way it's worded, and I think we need to be there in front of them all the time.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. This is carried. Thank you. On to 9.2.1.
Good morning, Mr. Reeve and Council.
Morning.
So this is for the purchase of a replacement UTV. The background here is, so while carrying out operational work at Kinnessoo Ridge Resort, a UTV side-by-side unit was involved in an accident resulting in irreparable damage that was subsequently written off through the municipal insurance provider. The damaged unit was purchased earlier this year as part of the approved 2023 equipment replacement program. Insurance will cover the original purchase price of the unit at $18,000 minus the $1,000 deductible, and also not including the fees for freight, tire levy, PDI, the tracks and accessories, so just the unit itself. Administration is seeking council approval to purchase a replacement UTV with the identical Yamaha unit. Below for reference are the quoted UTV prices for the unit only, and then you can see below the total quoted cost that had included the tracks and all the accessories as well. This falls under Goal 3 for promoting community development. And the cost and source of the funding is with the lowest overall quoted vendor, who was previously awarded this, and they will honor the previously quoted amount with freight to supply the unit only for $19,625, not including GST. Funding for the replacement side-by-side will come from the insurance proceeds with $17,000 after deductible, and the remaining fees would be through the 2023 Kinnessoo operating budget. Administration's recommended action is that council approves the purchase of a Yamaha replacement utility task vehicle, the UTV, unit to a maximum cost of $19,625 to be funded from insurance proceeds, with the remaining costs to be funded through the 2023 Kinnessoo operating budget. and there are council's options as well.
Okay, thank you. Just looking for a motion or some discussion. Okay, thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion on behalf of council. The council approves the purchase of a Yamaha replacement utility task vehicle unit to maximum cost of $19,622 to be funded from the insurance proceeds, with the remaining costs to be funded through the 2023 Canusa operating budget. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reeve and council.
You're welcome. Have a great day. On to 9.22.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Administration received a request to remove the public utility lot designation, sell and consolidate Plan 982-5079, Block 5, Lot 11 PUL, located within the southwest of 2161-6, as shown on the map on Appendix A. After completing a site inspection and an internal review, there are no MD or other identified utilities or infrastructure located within this PUL lot in question. A drainage easement is proposed to be registered in lieu of the PUL lot. The Disposal of Municipal Lands Policy, C-3A.019, allows for municipal lands to be sold by direct sale at fair market value when a parcel is severely restricted so as to have little or no value to anyone except an adjacent landowner. So if approved by council, administration will request the PUL designation to be removed, and the previous PUL area will then be made available for direct sale at a fair market value of $3,000. This valuation is detailed in the Assessment Department Summary Report provided as Appendix B. The PUL and the adjacent lots on either side are then proposed to be realigned into 2 lots, and additionally, a drainage easement would be registered concurrent with the boundary realignment to effectively manage drainage. On Appendix A, page 2, the map details the 2 new proposed lots and the drainage easement area. So our recommendation is that council approves the removal of the PUL designation from Plan 982-5079, Block 5, Lot 11, and furthermore, that council approves the direct sale of the former PUL lot for $3,000 being the fair market value.
Okay, thank you. Just looking for a motion.
Question first,
Yeah,
if I can.
go ahead.
It said in the report that it's a developer looking for that, if I read correctly?
Correct.
Is it a?
It's the adjacent landowner.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I was wondering, because it looks
Yeah.
like it's 2 lots that are already developed either side.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about access to the lake, but there is a public boat launch just a couple doors down, so there's no need for that. So I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion on behalf of council. That council approves the removal of the public utility lot designation from Plan 982-5079, Block 5, Lot 11 PUL, and furthermore, that council approves the direct sale of the former Plan 982-5079, Block 5, Lot 11 PUL for $3,000 being a fair market value. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.2.3. Thank you, Lisa.
Good morning.
Morning.
So the MD has been approached by 2 organizations to partner on 2 grant applications for the Alberta Community Partnership Grant. The first request is from the Northeast Alberta Information Hub, aka the Hub, They are seeking a resolution from 9 of its rural members, including the MD of Bonnyville, to support an Alberta Community Partnership, or ACP, joint grant application for the development and implementation of a regional industrial commercial land buildings data set. The second request has come from STEP, which is the Economic Development Alliance in St. Paul, through the County of St. Paul. They are seeking a resolution from the MD of Bonnyville to support an ACP joint grant application to undertake a stranded asset use case project. A little bit about those two projects. The Hub has developed marketing materials highlighting site selection criteria required for potential investors. However, providing accurate and timely descriptions of available industrial and commercial land and buildings has been a challenge. So communities do try to prepare themselves and be as investment ready as possible. Their proposed regional industrial commercial land buildings dataset project will research best practices to assist in building a platform to promote land and building sales to site selectors and government departments that focus on investment attraction. The project will be led by the County of Vermilion River, and the cost for this project is approximately $50,000 for research and $125,000 for implementation, to be funded fully through the grant, if successful. Specifically, the research component will identify the best technologies, data, and practices to gather all of this information and centralize it, and to potentially incorporate a GIS systems base to bolster the data offering to site selectors. The research will not only identify the technical support to develop the platform, but will also help develop a plan to promote the increased effectiveness and efficiency of the platform to potential investors. Project number 2. The proposed stranded asset use case project would be led by the County of St. Paul. They are looking to conduct this project, which is valued at $95,000, fully funded through the ACP grant if awarded. And this is to complete a research study that will qualify and quantify resources and produce a rudimentary transient model that will explore various avenues of use within an industrial ecosystem that could provide economic benefits for the region. AKA, there is some stranded assets, specifically an SAGD facility owned by Strathcona Resources, which is 2 of them, one located in St. Paul County and the other in the MD of Bonnyville. So this project would examine the opportunities to create industrial or commercial ventures that mimic a food ecosystem using these stranded assets. The study will conduct a resource inventory of these assets and explore these potential avenues. The Alberta greenhouse industry will be used as a surrogate for this model. Ultimately, the information from the study would help determine if steam produced and released into the atmosphere could be instead used to grow food in a greenhouse. Reference to our strategic plan is this refers back to goal number 1, building a viable and diversified regional economy. Specifically under that goal, objective 1, which is to develop economic development strategies inclusive of business and industrial attraction, retention, and expansion while maintaining our rural influences. Cost and source of funding, both of these projects would be fully funded by the grants if they are successful in their applications. Just to clarify too, I just noticed that for the Alberta Hub project, the total cost of it is $125,000, not $125 plus $50,000. So it is a full $125,000. Administration's recommended action is that Council supports a grant application to the 2023-24 Alberta Community Partnership Program by both Northeastern Alberta Information Hub for the Regional Industrial Commercial Land Buildings Dataset Project, and furthermore that Council supports a grant application to the same program by the County of St. Paul for a stranded assets use case project.
That's a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Looking for a motion.
I'd like to make that motion that we auction 1.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Slipchuk, for making a motion on behalf of council. The council supports a grant application to the 2023-24 Alberta Community Partnership Program by Northeast Alberta Information Hub Limited for Regional Industrial Commercial Land Building Data Set Project, and furthermore, the council supports a grant application to the 2023-24 Alberta Community Partnership Program by the County of St. Paul for a stranded assets use case project. Any discussion on this motion? Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to just say I'm on the Alberta Hub Committee, and Mr. Bob Bispalco, he does amazing work for the rural community to try to bring all different types of investment industry into our areas, and looking there where it says like greenhouse with the energy, we're using the steam and that, like how agriculture and energy can work together and bring benefits to the community, and I think this is a very good thing that we're going forward with.
Yes, Deputy Reeve Fidev.
Councilor Slipchuk, so you sit on the hub? I thought you were an alternate.
Yes.
You sit on, okay.
Talking about Mr. Bispalco, yes, I've been to a few things with him, and the guy's very sharp, and he does a lot for the whole region, so, yeah, very good comment. Any other discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to 9.3.1.
Mr. Reeve?
Yes.
There is a 10 o'clock delegation.
Is it?
Would we want to take a break before the delegation?
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I saw 10:30 first, so that was a public hearing. They're in, yep, thank you. Let's take.
Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yes, I believe we can, yep.
Okay, well, good morning, and thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation today on the designated industrial property assessment process, and more specifically, how it affects the provincial assessment role in your municipality. My name is Brad Hurt. I'm the manager of our industrial sites team with Centralized Industrial Property Assessment. Joining me today for this presentation is Weston Bennett. He is one of our assessment advisors on our linear and data management team. I'm just going to take a quick pause there because I'm also very fortunate to be joined by our contract assessors for the MD of Bonnyville, Cal, Vic, and Brent. Most of the non-linear assessments in Alberta, so the industrial site assessments, are prepared internally by provincial GOA staff. However, there are some municipalities, such as the MD of Bonnyville, where we contract out that function to the very capable local assessors, and we're fortunate to have that situation with the MD of Bonnyville. So I believe Cal, Vic, and Brent are all in the room, and I'd like to first thank them for joining us today, as well as giving them an overall thanks for the important work they do on behalf of the Provincial Assessor's Office. So when we go through this presentation today, we're going to be talking about who we are, explain a little bit of who we are, and give a little bit of the background of the assessment operations cycle of the Provincial Assessor's Office. We're going to point out some specific timelines and dates, and we'll talk about how those dates, We'll talk about how those dates affect properties in your municipality. We'll then further talk about what types of property make up the designated industrial property type, as well as the DI requisition rate, what it is, the timeline surrounding it. We'll talk about the MD of Bonnyville's assessment inventory as it pertains to DI property, the breakdown between the different assessment classes, and what type of increases the MD of Bonnyville has seen compared to last year to this year, the 2023 tax year. And we'll also share a couple of important updates on DI property that may affect your municipality. The presentation should only take about 10 to 15 minutes, which will give ample amount of time for questions that council may have. So diving right in here to who we are. So we're your designated industrial property assessment team, and we work on behalf of the provincial assessor. We're a multidisciplinary team of professionals with diverse skills. Skills range from property assessment to engineering, accounting, geospatial and data analytics. We have some project management expertise on staff, as well as quality assurance and just overall advanced computer administrative capabilities. Our team prepares assessments on behalf of the provincial assessor, and we defend roles for each municipality, and then we send those roles to the municipality for taxation. So that's just a little bit of who we are, and as I said off the top, we're very fortunate to have the support and cooperation of the assessors within your municipality who provide their expertise to ensure that our role for the MD of Bonnyville is both fair, equitable, and accurate. Okay, so just a little overview of the makeup of the Assessment Services branch. So within the Provincial Assessor's Office, the leadership consists of Victoria Bachman, who's our Executive Director for the branch. We also have Mike Menard, who is the Director of the Centralized Industrial Property Assessment Unit, and he also serves as the Provincial Assessor. We also have Michael Tochkin, who is the Director of our Linear and Data Management teams. The other managers listed below help oversee the day-to-day operations and efficient running of the branch. Important to note that the operations manager is listed as vacant on this presentation. I'm pleased to report that we have filled that vacancy, and we're fortunate to have Sabina Badu in that position as our manager of operations. Important to note that the leadership team is always available to offer necessary clarifications regarding your assessment role or any other questions that you may have affecting DI property within your municipality. Okay, so just going over our operational cycle. Our operational cycle is very, very similar to what you would expect in the municipal setting on municipal property types. We prepare our assessment role as of February 28th, the legislative deadline to prepare that role. We always hope to get it out as early as possible, but that's the date that we are legislatively bound to, just like they are on the municipal side. We send out our notices shortly after declaring the role. This year, the linear assessment notices were sent out on January 31st, as indicated on the side of the graph here, and the industrial notices were sent out on February 28th. We have a couple of revision cycles. We call them amendment cycles, which are shown on the chart as A1, A2, A3. It's really not an exhaustive list on the amendments. We will go up to 4, 5, 6 if need be. 1, 2, and 3 is generally what we have is three necessary revision loads. But as noted, if we have to adjust that, we will. If things need to be corrected, they will be corrected. So the first amendment rule was sent out for linear on April 14th, and for industrial it was sent out on May 12th. So these just capture any changes that had to be made to the role, whether it was due to misreporting or errors, omissions. The second amendment rule was sent out by the linear on June 23rd, and the industrial was sent out on July 21st. We also have a third one coming up. For our linear team, it'll be sent out in a couple days here on September 15th, and the industrial will follow a little bit later on October 27th, just to allow us some time to capture all of the required changes that are needed. One important note here is that appeals, so any complaints on DI property, they don't go through any local boards, the LARBs or CARBs. They are heard directly by the Land and Property Rights Tribunal. There are dates listed on this chart, which I will kind of just gloss over because hearings are ongoing. They happen throughout the year. We have one going on right now as it happens. So it's just an ongoing requirement where we're attending board hearings and defending assessments on behalf of the provincial assessor. We also send out requests for information packages on behalf of both our internal municipalities. We call those integrated municipalities, but we also send them out for our delegate municipalities. So in this case, the MD of Bonnyville, which is a delegate municipality. So those RFI packages for linear, those were sent out on September 7th, so just last week. Industrial were sent out a little bit before that on August 18th. So that's when we mail a request for information package to all of our assessed persons in the municipality. And then we receive those back and forward them on to our contract assessors, Cal and his team, for review. One final note is we prepare supplementary notices as mandated, only in municipalities that have passed the supplementary bylaw, but this year we will be sending those out on December 8th for both our linear and industrial property types. So that's a kind of an overview of our operation cycle, very similar to what you would see in a municipal setting. One important note is our physical condition date, so the date that assessments must reflect the characteristics of property, that's October 31st for DI property, whereas for non-DI property in the municipal setting, that's a December 31st. So other than that, very similar operational cycles between us and the municipality. Okay, so just talking a little bit about the DI requisition and what it is and its timeline. So the DI requisition, very similar to your requisitions on your tax rates, it's based on the provincial assessor's role and the amount required to operate centralized industrial property assessment. So in March of every year, a ministerial order is passed and it's approved by the minister and it's sent to all CAOs with the updated requisition rate. Then in April, the Municipal Affairs website's updated and it has the new rates on it, and municipalities with designated industrial property can then apply that requisition rate to the eligible properties in their municipality, so the DI properties in their municipality. This requisition is collected on behalf of Municipal Affairs, and payment is remitted to the government within 30 days of the municipal tax's due date. And then in February of the following year, a tax requisition reconciliation is calculated, and it's sent to the CAOs of all municipalities, and then any unpaid balances are reflected on the upcoming year. So that's just a little bit of information on the DI process, very similar to requisitions at the municipal level. It's based simply on the assessment role and the amount required to operate. Okay, now changing speeds, let's talk a little bit about what DI property is. So DI property can be based off of two types. There's linear property, and then there's non-linear property or industrial property. So linear property, which we'll talk about first, consists of property that's often cross-jurisdictional throughout Alberta. So this includes, as shown, pipelines, wells, telecom and cable systems, electrical power systems, electrical power generation, and railway. It's important to note that the linear property has always been assessed by Assessment Services Branch. That hasn't changed. I know in 2018 we had a change, but linear property has always been assessed by Assessment Services Branch. The second type of property is what we call nonlinear or industrial property types, and they can also be kind of split into two groups. So the first group is shown on the top of this slide. Those are facilities regulated by the Alberta Energy Regulator, the Alberta Utility Commission, and the Canadian Energy Regulator. We often call these industrial sites. That's kind of the terminology we use, and that's the team that I manage. So as shown, those are well sites, compressor sites, batteries, etc. The second group of photos on the slide are the second property type, which we call major plants. And those are actually listed in the Machinery and Equipment Assessment Minister's guidelines. They would include oil sands, gas plants, pipe terminals, pulp and paper and lumber mills, refineries, petrochemical plants. These properties, the non-linear, so the industrial sites and the major plants, these were centralized in 2018 and are now the responsibility of the Assessment Services Branch to prepare the assessments on these property types. Okay. Now, getting into the assessed value in the MD of Bonnyville. So this chart, there's a lot to take in, and I think we've provided this presentation. So hopefully you guys can take a copy of this and have a good look at this, because there's a lot to cover here. But I'll just touch upon a few things. So this kind of summarizes the last 3 years of assessed values in the MD of Bonnyville pertaining to DI property. So the top pane shows, the top grouping shows the industrial assessments, and the bottom is the linear. So as we can see, we've had a kind of a steady assessment base throughout the years, but we did have more than I wouldn't say significant, but there was a pretty healthy increase between the 2022 and the 2023 tax years. We're looking at around 159 million, I believe. Yeah, 159. Oh, sorry, that's on linear. 245 million increase in DI property from 2022 to 2023. Now, another important thing to note from this graph is the inventory in the MD of Bonnyville is mainly made up of electrical power facilities, pipelines, wells, and well site machinery and equipment. Those are the major categories of assessed dollars in the MD of Bonnyville. And we've included a percentage change and a dollar change amount for each of these categories. So as noted, there was a somewhat stable assessment base between the 2021 and 2022 tax years. We saw a pretty good increase in 2023. It's around 4.31%. 6% of that is on the linear side, and just over 2.5% comes from the industrial side, which Cal and his team prepare assessments on. Like I said, there's a lot to take in here. I'd be happy to answer questions later about any specifics on this chart that you might have. And we're always available for questions after the presentation if you wanted to reach out directly about any other totals, as well as Cal and his team, I'm sure would be able to answer any questions on this that you may have as well. Okay, now if we look at more of a provincial total, this is what this chart kind of summarizes is the provincial total on DI property broken down between linear and industrial. So over the last 3 years, we've gone from 171 billion to 184 billion. We didn't see a lot of increase in 2022, but we sure saw a lot of increase this year. And there's numerous reasons for that. It's hard to get into. Different municipalities would see different increases based on activity. Some might see decreases based on activity, but overall we had a pretty healthy increase in assessed values, just over 11 billion if I'm adding correctly. This is around a 6.5% increase in the amount of DI property that is assessed throughout the province, and just kind of an overall view of what we're looking at provincially. Okay, now I just wanted to kind of touch upon a couple of important things that might be of interest to your municipalities. So first we'll talk about the tax holiday. So in October of 2022, the minister at the time made an announcement that there was to be no assessment on any new wells or pipe assets for the next 3 years. So that meant that no tax was to be collected on new wells drilled or pipelines laid for the 2021 assessment year, the 2022 assessment year, or the 2023 assessment year. So for the 2022, 2023, and 2024 tax years. This tax holiday is set to expire for the 2024 tax year. So after this year, it will be expired. In your municipality, there were some wells drilled that had a total assessed value of right around 74 million. It was around 74.5 million. And there was some pipeline that were laid that also had an assessed value of just over 18.5 million. So these had a cumulative assessment value of right around $93 million. This amount is for the pipelines and wells that should have been taxed but weren't for the last 3 years due to the holiday. So after this year, those will be placed on the municipality's roll, and you'll be able to issue taxes on those. Again, Weston is on hand here who could answer any questions on this better than I could. So I'm sure we'll touch upon this later, but important to note here is that this is the last year of the tax holiday. Next year, it will be expired. Okay, and then I just wanted to touch upon the assessment model review. This is an important topic for many councils. So a little history on the assessment model review. In 2019, Municipal Affairs launched an assessment model review to update the models used to assess wells, pipelines, well site machinery and equipment. The potential impact of these proposed updates caused significant stakeholder concern, so the review was put on hold. Now the government is committed to developing a long-term review plan, and this plan is being considered at this time. So as noted on the slide here, we're currently in phase one, which is works underway developing a process and plan for stakeholder engagement, and that's at a steering committee level. Once that process is defined and agreed upon, we'll be entering stage two, which is the engagement part of it. There is no, as noted here, there's no timeline yet on phase two. I wish I could provide more details to council on that. But if you do have any questions at any time on the status of the assessment model review, please reach out to myself or other members of the SEPA team, and we will be more than happy to let you know where that process currently stands. The last key update I wanted to touch upon is just with as it pertains to assessment year modifiers. So assessment year modifiers, we publish them on our website as they are approved. So we encourage municipalities to check the municipal affairs websites for details on the current assessment year modifiers when you're making computations for tax purposes on eligible DI properties. And a little link there is shown just to get to our website. Okay, now moving on to the most important part for me of this presentation is as it pertains to communication and collaboration. So our branch is always excited about any opportunity to engage with our stakeholders, and in this instance, the MD of Bonnyville. And we're happy that you accepted this opportunity to engage with us today. We recognize the importance of the work that we do, and we know that the work that we do with you and all stakeholders towards achieving our goal of a fair and equitable assessment system, and of course a stable assessment base, is the primary importance of all of us in the assessment sector. So we further note that we need to collaborate with all parties to achieve that goal of making sure that we're growing Alberta's economy. So we hope to collaborate with municipalities more going forward and have a good exchange of information to support each other to achieve this end of growing Alberta's economy and ensuring a fair, equitable, and stable assessment base for all of our municipalities. So we'll continue to work with your council, your municipality, our partner assessors, Cal, Brent, and Vic, and ensuring that the assessments are prepared in a fair and equitable manner. And if you ever have any questions for our staff, for our team on the function of DI property assessment, we encourage you to reach out to us at any time. We do have an open kind of door policy with our stakeholders, our municipal partners, and we encourage you to contact us if you are unsure of something. So with that, I just wanted to thank you for your time today. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I would, if possible, like to ask if Cal, Vic, and Brent could go to the podium to maybe assist with any questions the council may have of the DI property assessment process in the MD of Bonnyville. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
I don't know, Vic gets pretty nervous up there. All right, gentlemen, any questions?
I got a question.
Yeah, Councillor Slipchuk?
So say a wind farm or a solar panel farm, what category would it fall under? Like electric power or electric generation?
That's a great question. So it actually falls into two parts. So a solar farm, for example, the solar panels themselves would fall under linear property. Whereas the land and any buildings or site improvements such as fencing would fall under industrial or non-linear property. So it kind of straddles the line between each, and it's kind of the same situation on the wind turbine side of it, the wind farm side. The wind turbine itself is classed as linear property and assessed by the linear team, but the land associated with the turbine, and again any fencing or buildings, those would be non-linear and assessed by the industrial sites team.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
Yeah, good morning. Just kind of more of a comment than a question. So in regards to the tax holiday on wells and pipelines, you know, like you don't realize what kind of stress the municipality goes through, you know, for our infrastructure when this holiday comes into place. That you know, the constant money that just keeps topping up is just no longer there, and we've seen it on our budget. And it's not fun. What my concerns are is the asset model, it's called review. It sounds like you guys are gonna not go away to favor the municipalities. There's some key words that I'm kind of taking away, and it's not looking favorable to me, but I could be reading the message wrong. I mean, like energy companies need to answer to their investors and their dividend stakeholders. The ones we have to answer to are the Alberta taxpayer and municipal taxpayer. So please, keep that in mind. There is only one taxpayer. When we see these energy companies, shell out millions of dollars to different communities, we know there's money and there is growth for Alberta, and we need to play that carefully. And again, we don't want to have a protest again at the Hill like we did a couple of years ago. But it's still a very big concern for me.
Thank you for that comment.
Any other comments or questions? We're not even going to put our three guys on the spot. All right, I'd like to thank you, Brad and Weston, for coming, zooming in today, and you guys have a great day wherever you guys are at.
Great. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Take care. You as well. Just looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councillor Sipchik. On behalf of Council, the Council accepts a presentation by Alberta Municipal Affairs Assessment Services Division on designating industrial properties assessment 2023 tax year overview as information. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. I just need a 5-minute break. Turn on my mic. Before we begin with the public hearing, I would like to remind those who wish to address any of the public hearing on today's agenda to register your name on the speakers list at the entrance of the council chambers. I would also like to outline the process to be followed for this public hearing. We will begin with a staff report from administration, followed by questions of administration from council. Next, the applicant will have an opportunity to provide a presentation, followed by a question of the applicant from council. We will then call upon members of the public who wish to speak in support of the application, followed by those who wish to speak in opposition of the application. Council may ask questions of the public presenter during this time only. The applicant will be then be provided with the opportunity to rebut anything that they have heard or read in the opposition of their application, followed by the questions of the applicant from council only on information provided during the rebuttal. Finally, we will entertain any final questions from administration from council before closing the public hearing. May I have a motion to go into public hearing? Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion that public hearing for item 4.1 be open at 10:39 a.m. Any discussion on this? I'll call for the vote. That's carried. All right, opening this hearing, administration presentation. Go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning. So this public hearing is for the proposed rezoning of Lot 2, Block 1, Plan 092-5990, part of Northeast 3368 west of the 4th. The proposal is to rezone the parcel, the subject parcel, from agricultural district to rural commercial district. This would allow for the subject site to apply for an eat-drink facility, which is permitted under the rural commercial district. The registered owner is proposing the rezoning for the subject parcel, and the subject parcel is approximately 10 acres in size. I'll now quickly review the interactions with the statutory plans of the MD and the rezoning. So the Village of Glendon Intermunicipal Development Plan identifies the subject land as just beyond the IDP boundary. The IDP defers to the MD's municipal development plan and direction it provides for future land uses. However, it is important to take into consideration how the future expansion of the Village of Glendon may impact that. The Municipal Development Plan, or MDP, notes that the following redistricting criteria should be met for rezoning to commercial or industrial districts. One, that the development is appropriate to an agricultural area. Two, that the development authority is satisfied that there is no suitable alternative available within an existing commercial or industrial land use district. Three, that the development is compatible with neighboring land uses. Four, that the development will not constrain farming operations. And five, that the parcel size is kept to the minimum necessary to accommodate the proposed use.
Robin, I have one. Sorry, computer's running down here.
Yes.
Right on. Continue. Sorry about that.
Perfect. So the proposed rezoning application is consistent with the requirements of the municipal development plan. There is no applicable area structure plan for this area. And under the land use bylaw, the LUB, it notes that the intended purpose for the rural commercial district is to provide for the development of a wide variety of retail and service commercial uses which will meet the needs of area residents. The site requirements and regulations regarding parcel size, density, landscaping, parking, and servicing are all determined by the development authority. So beyond parcel size, most of these site requirements are best addressed during the development permit process. And based upon the available permitted uses under the rural commercial district, it is expected that there would be little to no impact upon adjacent landowners. Referrals were sent out and the public hearing advertised as per the MGA, and no comments were received from adjacent landowners, and no concerns were raised from external referrals. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, gentlemen, is there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to announce that there was no written submissions that have been provided in the agenda package. Now, is there any is there anyone here who wish to speak in favor of this application? Again, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this application? And for the third and final time, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this application? All right, seeing no one, is there anyone in opposition? Is there anyone wishes to speak in opposition of this application? Again, for the second time, is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition of this application? And for the third and final time, is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition of this application? Okay, seeing nobody. Any final questions from anybody? Council, administration? All right, I need a motion to close the public hearing. Thank you, Deputy Reeve-Fideo, for making a motion on behalf of council that the public hearing for item 4.1 to be closed at the time 10:44 a.m. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, I was pretty rusty on that one, gentlemen. Are we on 9.3.1? So we'll go to 9.3.1.
Good morning, Council.
Morning.
Today before Council is a request for future penalty cancellation from Vantage Point Resources. The MD policy number 1.011, property tax cancellation policy, establishes a uniform and consistent approach for Council to address property tax penalty payment cancellation requests in the MD. When administration receives a property tax cancellation request for Council's consideration, the requests are placed in one of two categories: requests complying with the criteria of Policy 1.011 and requests not complying with the criteria of Policy 1.011. This property tax cancellation request that's submitted does not comply with Policy 1.011. The request received is requesting penalty cancellations that will be incurred on September 16th, 2023. The request is for the following: for roll 999-000011, the September 16th, 2023 penalty is estimated to be $5,688.10. The total penalty cancellation is estimated to be $5,688.10. The request and the tax notice for the property are attached as Appendix A. The property tax notice was not included, but I do have them here if Council wishes to see the property tax notice. That would be for the levy for the 2023 tax year. The property tax cancellation, MD policy number 1.011, and the penalty cancellation administrative process flowchart are attached in Appendix B. For reference to provincial legislation, this is referring to sections 346 and 347 of the Municipal Government Act. For cost and source of funding, approval of this request will result in an estimated reduction of the property tax penalty revenue of $5,688.10 due to the penalty that would be applied on September 16th, 2023. Council's decision will be communicated to the property owner through telephone calls and follow-up letters. Administration's recommended action is that Council denies the request for cancellation of the September 16th, 2023 penalty for tax roll number 999-000011 in the estimated amount of $5,688.10. Council's options are: 1, that Council denies the request for cancellation of the September 16th, 2023 penalty for tax roll number 999-000011 in the estimated amount of $5,688.10. 2, that Council approves the requested cancellation of the September 16th, 2023 tax penalty for tax roll number 999-000011 in the estimated amount of $5,688.10. And 3, the Council directs administration to bring back future information regarding the tax penalty cancellation request for tax roll number 999-000011 to a future meeting of Council as discussed.
Thank you. Looking for a motion, gentlemen?
I have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Reeve.
go ahead.
So is this person making monthly payments from now till the end of December of $26,000?
The company has been in contact with the tax department, and through that have been working through already doing some payments. They started in October of 2022, November of 2022 with making payments. So there have been payments of $40,000 in November of 2022, $40,000 in December of 2022, January of 23, another $40,000, February, another $40,000. There was also some more additional adjustments in August, where credits from other accounts that they're the assessed person removed to this property. So in 2022, the levy was $89,000, and the levy in 2023 was $88,000, and currently outstanding is $47,000. So they have been working to get a payment plan in place, and their hope is to have it all paid in full by the end of the year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reeve. And then for 2024, they're going to be doing monthly payments starting in January?
They have not mentioned anything about monthly payments for next year, but in our conversations with all taxpayers, we strongly recommend that they get on the payment plan program. Because this is a business, some businesses would rather pay at the up close to the deadline, so we're not sure.
Mr. Reeve, it says in the letter here that he's going to be paying beginning of January 2024.
And that's, I don't have the agreement done in place, so I can't say that absolutely that's what's going to happen, but that's what's stated in the letter.
Has one more question. Has this company been late on paying their taxes before?
Through the Reeve, all I can speak on right now is on this account. Just give me a second. Let me just see what we have in the past.
Because, Mr. Reeve, don't we normally give a grace period if they haven't been late in a previous taxation year, according to policy? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, there we go. So through the Reeve, currently right now we only have one property that is outstanding in taxes. That's this one. Everything is paid up in full. But due to the number of properties that they have here, probably about 15 or 16, if this is something that council would like brought back to them, if I can have probably about 10 minutes to take a look at the other accounts to see when they had penalties on the other accounts, I can do that.
You want to do that? Okay. We can go on to another thing and get back when you'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll restart this?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're on to 9.4.1. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Reeve, could we just get a motion to table the item for later in the meeting?
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mike? Okay. Councillor Kraviak tables, thank you. On to 9.4.1.
Yeah, sorry, we'll need to
I
actually
apologize.
vote.
Call for the vote. No discussion. That's carried, thank you. On to 9.4.1.
Good morning, council.
Morning.
So since last fall, there has been approval of a few amended and new terms of reference documents for various municipal and regional boards and committees. In response to these changes, administration has prepared an amending bylaw to replace the amended documents and add the new ones. Bylaw number 1856 makes amendments to bylaw number 1748, boards and committees bylaw, as well as bylaw number 1808, and amending boards and committees bylaw. A brief summary of these amendments include deleting reference to the Regional Economic Development Committee, as well as the associated terms of reference, which was approved by council at the 2022 organizational meeting to be disbanded. Replacing Schedule A, Committee of the Whole Terms of Reference, which was amended in October of 2022. Replacing Schedule F, Rural Community Policing Committee Terms of Reference, which was amended in July of 2023. Adding reference to the Emergency Advisory Committee and attaching the associated terms of reference as Schedule H, which was adopted in November of 2022, and adding reference to the Regional Sports Tourism Committee and attaching the associated terms of reference as Schedule I, which was adopted by all councils as of June 2023. Attached for council's review in Appendix A is the proposed bylaw number 1856, amending boards and committees bylaw. Appendix B is the bylaw number 1748, as well as the two amending bylaws to that bylaw, 1793 and 1808. Administration recommends that bylaw number 1856, being a bylaw of the Municipal District of Bonnyville, to amend bylaw number 1748, be given first reading.
Thank you. Looking for a motion, gentlemen? Councillor Crick? Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1856, being a bylaw of the Municipal District of Bonnyville number 87, to amend bylaw number 1748, boards and committee bylaws, be given first reading. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Kraviak.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Aren't some committees allowed to be on there for 2 consecutive terms for members at large? No?
Some boards and committees allow that, yes.
So why is the policing committee only for one term?
That was a decision made by the policing committee.
Oh.
They approved those terms of references before they were brought to council.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Deputy Reeve.
Just some clarity in regards to the sports tourism part of it. The position for recording, that's all we're doing. We're just recording. We're not doing anything else. And then it says it's going to be rotated between the 4 municipalities on a annual basis, effective first scheduled meeting.
I can't really speak in detail because I've not been at any of those meetings myself. All I can speak to is what the terms of reference indicate. So if that, the terms of reference does say that it will be as of the first meeting, which I believe was yesterday, for a 1-year term, and that each municipality is as my understanding from the terms of reference would be the recording secretary from the municipality that the chair
Okay, gotcha.
representing the chair,
Okay.
is my understanding.
Thank you.
Yes.
Through the Reeve, to Deputy Reeve Fadeev, it's a 1-year rotating. It's not based on who the chair is. It's a 1-year rotating. So it's whatever administrative function that committee needs. Typically, recording secretary, creating a package, invitations, those type of things. The concern is going to be what happens if the Sports Tourism Committee were to attract a large event to come. What does that look like? The original whole point of the Sports Tourism Committee was to be a committee of community group that would then reach out to others in the community to put on these. So the MD, the City of Cold Lake, the Town of Bonnyville, the Village of Glendon wouldn't be tasked with the enormous workload of bringing in a large provincial or national sports event. And so we're just early stages. It was the second meeting yesterday, and so we'll see where it moves on from here.
Are you done?
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Kraviak.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. One more question. On number 7, for the policing committee, it says if there's no applicants, an expiring member of large may be reappointed for one additional term. What if after the one additional term, there are still no applicants?
I can't speak to that right now, unfortunately. It would depend on, I can't answer that right now. As far as I know, we've never been in that circumstance before, but my guess is we would address that at that time.
Any other questions? Just looking for a motion then? I did it already? Did I read that out? Yes. Sorry, it wasn't written on my screen. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph. 9.5, or, yeah, Mr. Bespalko? A little bit, or you're ready to go? Okay. We need to make a motion to go back?
Take it off the table.
Take it off?
Yes, please, just a motion to lift from the table.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making that motion. Do you want me to just do a hand, or do you bring it up on screen? Okay, we'll wait. That's carried. It's coming up. Councillor Kraviak? Okay, all right, you guys see the motion. I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Welcome back, Mr. Bespalko.
Thank you. Through the read, Councillor Trivia. In reviewing the accounts under this company, out of the 21 accounts, I've gone through at 10, and out of the 10, the majority of them have tax or penalties that were applied from 2019 through.
Mr. Bespalko, can you put your mic? Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
No
Through,
problem.
through the reeve to Council Kriviak. I've looked at 10 out of the roughly 20 accounts under this company, and out of the 10 that I've looked at, the majority have had penalties from 2019 through to 2023 on the account.
Okay. Yeah, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
So has a request been made to other municipalities at all? Do you know?
Through the reeve, I don't have any information whether they've had this same issue with other municipalities. That I don't know.
Have they given us a reason why they needed the extra time?
Through the reeve, they haven't really specifically stated, but my professional conclusion on these type of discussions with company is that they're probably just trying to refigure things out through this economy coming out of COVID.
Just one more question.
Yeah, no problem.
So are these mostly gas wells or oil wells? Do you know that one?
I can take a look to see. Now, unfortunately, through the reeve, unfortunately, the details of these accounts are actually logged or stored in the provincial assessor's accounts. That I don't have
Okay.
the detail on exactly what is being assessed. But it is designated industrial properties. Let's see for the assessment.
Any other discussion? Councillor Crick?
Yeah, through the reeve, are those other properties that are had penalties from 2019 through 23, are those brought up current now? Or are they still in arrears?
Through the Reeve to all of council, all of those other accounts are sitting at a zero balance. The only account that's left outstanding is the one in the RFD today.
Just one more comment,
Yes,
Mr. Reeve.
go ahead.
So I see that they're trying to make their payments and pay the taxes then, right?
Through the Reeve to all of council, yes.
I'd like to make a motion for option 1.
Case. I have Councillor Kraviak marked in here already. I don't think that's supposed to be there though, right? So thank you, Councillor Slipchik, for making a motion. On behalf of council, that council denies the request for cancellation of the September 16th, 2023 tax penalty for tax roll number 999000011 in the amount of $5,688.10. Any discussion on this? Yes, Deputy Reeve, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the tax burden and people walking away from it. I know it's been a big subject of RMA for years. I mean, there's millions of dollars being not paid by companies. We also seen that Trident walked away from 4,700 wells last year and left a burden on these smaller municipalities. I'm kind of convicted here. I'm just, man, we don't want for these guys to make it an exceptional burden, but the thing is, other ratepayers don't get those same breaks as well, right? So, like I kept saying before, tax time is the same time as every year, right? So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it.
Okay, thank you.
It's a tough decision.
It is.
Mr. Reeve, it's a very good comment you make, but at least they're trying to pay their taxes, not like you're saying walking away from it also, yeah.
Mr. Reeve, members of council, this is a company that is, since 2019, has had something in arrears every year. The idea that a tax penalty of $5,000 would be what would force the company to close wells and pull up shop means they're already, technically any company who a $5,000 bill is the difference between, working and not working. There have been some changes to AER that it's different than what we would normally see, where a company would be saying, I'm not going to make the tax deadline, asking for something. But at the end of the day, what if a bunch of your residents came and said, I'm not going to make tax deadline on Friday, can I have my penalties waived if I pay them by December 31st? The tax deadlines are tax deadlines. We don't get any, we've got loans, interests, credit cards, the MD, our costs are not waived, and our interest payments are not waived on any of the debts we have. This is our lifeblood, this is our survival. Ergo, the recommendation from the assessment department to deny the application.
Yes, Councillor Crick.
Oh, I was just going to ask if we pass this motion as presented, then if the administration can reach out to the company before the deadline, just so they have the opportunity in the next couple of days to pay up and avoid their penalties of that way.
Through the Reeve to all of council, yes, once this decision is made by council, we will be contacting the company later on today and letting them know. Yeah.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. Yeah. That's carried, thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, have a great day. On to 9.5.1.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Members of Council, 9.5 is regarding council invitations. There are several invitations that have come through in the last little bit. The first one is an invitation to a no-charge event, is the Bonneville Friendship Sisters in Spirit Vigil, October 4th. You can see that in Appendix A. I'm not going to get into the details of each of these invitations because you can certainly see them in the appendix. Events to which we'd be charged for, the Bonneville and District SPC Raise the Woof Comedy Night is September 23rd, and that's their annual comedy night, raising money for the Bonneville SPCA. I think several staff, myself, went last year. It was a fun evening. Number 2 is the Northeast Regional Agricultural Service Board Conference on October the 20th. That's going to be at Métis Crossing in Smoky Lake County. Number 3 is the Cold Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year Awards, October 20th. I believe several members of council and the REEV attended last year. The 4th is the Bonneville Friendship Center Masquerade Ball and Fundraising Gala on October the 27th. And the REEV and council have been invited to attend that Masquerade Ball and Fundraising Gala for the Bonneville Food Bank, October 27, 23. And one that we sent out to council in an email that wasn't attached to this was the Lakeland Society for Truth and Reconciliation, and they are specifically requesting the REEV and as many councillors, but the REEV specifically, they would like the REEV to be a speaker on September 30th. At some point between 6 o'clock and 8 p.m. is when the evening speakers would perform. They've also asked for a sponsorship or a donation, and that will be dealt with through our sponsorship and donations policy, and no decision is required on that today.
Thank you. We just let you know what we want to attend, or how do you want to go about this?
I think the easiest thing is just I think Ms. Evans certainly created the motions that council approves attendance to the community events. You could even modify that motion, just say council approves attendance, and for any councillor who would like to attend, and we can certainly sort it out from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making the motion on behalf of council. Any discussion on this motion? Might not be. I'll wait for it to come up. Oh, we better wait for them.
And Mr. Reeve, the only issue is going to be, and we can certainly speak of it offline, is some of these, purchasing a table as opposed to individual tickets might be a better, a better option, but we can certainly, I don't know that not all of council is here today, so I would suggest that's probably find out who would like to go, and then whether it's better to purchase a table or purchase individual tickets.
It's a little tough with 5 only, yeah. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Carried, thank you. On to 9.6.1, is that correct? Bridge file?
Good morning, Mr. Reeve, members of council.
Morning.
I'm here in front of you today for bridge file 74564, Range Road 420, Brown Creek tender update. The replacement of bridge file 74564 was on the council approved 2023 capital budget. This project was tendered as per policy, and after evaluation of the submissions, the lowest qualified tender amount was over the approved budget. The total cost of bridge file 74564 is estimated to be $534,000. $36,815.25, including engineering and contingency. The total approved budget for the project is $510,000. As Bridge File 74564 is critical for access into the Primrose area, this bridge must proceed as scheduled. Reference to the strategic plan is under goal number 2, enhance safety in the community. The objective, transportation and infrastructure network safety. Reference to provincial legislation and federal legislation, environmental regulatory legislation and engineering standards. The cost and source of funding, $30,000 to be added to the approved budget, project budget, funded from the Bridge Reserve Fund. Communication strategy, council minutes posted in the MD website, on the MD website. And it's the administration's recommendation that council approves an unbudgeted expenditure in the amount of $30,000 for Bridge File 74564, Range Road 420, Brown Creek project to be funded from the Bridge Reserve Fund.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion, gentlemen. Councillor Slipchik?
A question?
Yes, go ahead.
The extra 36,000 or whatever it is.
30.
Yeah, 30,000 for this, where did it come from? Did they say, or is it related to one product that the increase came from, or overall, everything's rising cost?
Through the Reeve to Councillor Slipchuk's question, this project was originally budgeted for in 2021. So in 2021, $510,000 was set for that budget. Over the last 2 years, it got bumped, and then it's just the increase in pricing over the last 2 years. So 2 years ago, it may have come in at that budget. 2 years later, we're asking for another $30,000 for the additional cost.
Well, then I think we're pretty fortunate that's only 30,000 if it was back in 2021 with way everything else is.
All right, just looking for a motion still.
Based on Councillor Slipchuk's comments, I'll make the motion, we approve it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion. On behalf of council, that council approves the unbudgeted expenditure in the amount of $30,000 for Bridge File 74564, Range Road 420, Brown Creek project to be funded from the Bridge Reserve Fund. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
On to 10 correspondence. Mr. C.
Thank you, Mr. Reed, members of the council. Just correspondence received, the report from the Bonneville District Leisure Facility Corp., their July 23rd quarterly financials. Invitation from the Lakeland Industry and Community Association, their fisheries workshop on September 16th to the 17th. The invitation from Village of Glendon to the 30th Annual Glendon Petahef Festival, September 9th. I did attend. I saw Councillor Kreviak there as well. Both him and I decided it would not be fair if we entered the pierogi eating contest, so we both backed away from the pierogi and let somebody else win this year.
I should have never listened to you.
The Beaver Dam Community Society Trail Ride, their thanks to us, and so that was the correspondence we received so far this week.
Okay, thank you. Just looking for a motion, gentlemen. Thank you, Deputy Reeve Fideo, for making a motion on behalf of council that council accepts the following correspondence as information, 1 through 5. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. Just looking for reports from members of council. Mike?
I can start.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, on the 7th, I went to a councillor in the county of Vermilion River passed away, so I went to that funeral. A lot of people attended there, and I didn't know, but he was born actually in the Flat Lake area in my ward. I went to the Ardmore Open House on the 8th and Pierogi Festival as well. On the 11th, I had the policing committee. The Bonneville detachment is now up 2 constables, up to 23. May, June, July, 2,475 files, 582 traffic investigations, 41 impaired driving, and 6 resulted in charges. And Cold Lake detachment, they're up 3 constables, up to 36. Very busy as well. And there was one incident where they went to a person's place and there were 60 guns at the residence there. Public safety, well, you had the Mr. Gandolfi gave the report last council meeting. One thing I can mention is there were 6 joint projects with the RCMP. I met with Glendon residents there, and the MD residents were there as well, with Scott Sear, the MLA. With some issues they had with Glendon, but one of the things mentioned there was the Highway 28, that they're looking for money in the budget to start construction. Not sure when that'll be. It's going to go from Cold Lake all the way up to Redwater, they said, with passing lanes in various places. And another thing that was brought up is what you discussed, and that's to get a minister from this area. Like, we haven't had a minister here for a while. All the MLAs in Calgary, I think, have received a minister's portfolio, but no one from this area for a while since Mr. Ducharme. One thing, last time you mentioned, Deputy Reeve, about the chief organizing a barbecue at Cherry Grove. It wasn't the chief, it was the community. Those people who helped with the fire at the Cherry Grove church, they organized a barbecue, and they asked Chief Haney to use the barbecue, so he just helped out with the burgers over there. And that's it for me. Thank you.
I got nothing to report, just that, though I've been receiving lots of inquiries from residents about rural crime, and I think we're going to have to start figuring out what we can do about that, assist with all this.
Okay, on the committee side, Alberta Care Conference in Grand Prairie, just a reminder to everybody, we'll be hosting that conference here in the MD of Bonneville, and that'll be next fall, and we're expecting to see about 150 people, kind of been on a regular basis. Brad Olin got voted as vice chair on the executive board over there. He went in screaming, but they got him. So that's good to have a representative, a young representative on that board, which is great. Really like that organization. They have all kinds of stakeholders from everywhere, regards to the province to the actual regulators were there on hand that we could bug and talk to and try to figure out what's coming down the line. All we know is that the environmental, I guess, pressures on covering our pits are just, they keep going up like everything else. So we need to put a little bit more money in our budget for our waste facilities. FCSS was yesterday, and there was some. Let me just pull up my email in regards to that. The province. 1 second. Anyways, the province did I guess an increase in FCSS funding of 4.5%, and there was a discrepancy in regards to what the MD gave them a check for, to what the actual costs were. So there's going to be a letter coming from FCSS to the MD of Bonnyville in regards to that. So just to give you guys a heads up on that. Activities, the Cherry Grove Lawn Tractor Races were a blast like always. Cherry Grove Car Show, and also Feast on the Beach was fantastic. And one of the best things is going to be the a growing event. It's going to be a Summer Rush that Ben Winterhold had.
Yeah.
Phenomenal place. I can see them outgrowing that place in the next 3 to 5 years. When you see people coming from all over the province to see that 17 bands that were there. It was a great event, very well put together. Definitely put my my congratulations to Summer Rush and their committee to doing an excellent event there. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet for me. I went to the RMA Zone 5 meeting in Fort McMurray with Deputy Fadeev and our CAO. That was good. It's going to be held in the MD of Bonnyville, I think, in January. The next Zone 5 meeting will be here, though, anyways. So, and that's about it for me.
Okay, thank you. A few of you guys talked about a few things. The policing committee gave a good report. I really feel for the officers in our area. They do a lot of work and they don't get much praise, so I try to praise them there as much as I can because it's a tough job. I met with Elisa from the town of Bonnyville with myself and Al, and then myself and Al also met with Scott Sear. Can't really talk too much here what we were talking about. It's up for upcoming stuff. And then we had a CAO conference in the city of Cold Lake, and Al was a big part of that. I seen he was a speaker there as well. A little note from Al that everything went supremely good. There's a lot of people that were impressed with our area. Thanks to our administration for the great job they did, and all the staff, whatever they did. I guess everything turned out super well. They are very impressed, and I thank them for that. And that's about all I have.
I just want to make one comment, Mr. Reeve.
Yes.
With regards to FCSS, the government gave us more money, like Deputy Reeve said, and the MD has to give 20% of that total, so we have to give 20% of what the government gives. That's why the increase, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a discrepancy of what the numbers they had to the numbers that we gave, so, and there was no clarity to why we gave them what we did. It was just there was no, this is why, this is based on the calculations that are done. There is an agreement in place, and I told them that it's just a clerical error of some sorts, and we'll definitely figure it out, but the letter is coming.
Yeah, actually, I made an error. We give 25% of what the government gives. We give 20% of the total amount, but 25% of what the province gives.
Mr. Reeve, I'm going to have Ms. Kienbaugh come up because I think there is a little bit more clarity could be shed.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Reeve, what happened was the provincial government increased their funding to the FCSSs, and that difference amount, that increase, we actually brought that forward to council to add that additional 20%, which is required for that grant money to go to them. We needed to increase our budget because it wasn't in our budget to give them that additional amount. I think it equated to just over $5,000 for this year. So that additional funds, that 80% that comes from the province, does require the municipalities to provide that 20%. However, it was our option to do that because that amount of money, I received confirmation from the province, they increased the maximum amount. However, the municipality, or we didn't have to, it wasn't a must, it was our option to correspondingly increase it so that they could get that additional money. So Thankfully, council did make that call and increase the funding. Therefore, this year we are covered. However, from the motion made from council that day, we requested both Cold Lake and Bonnyville FCSSs to submit a letter requesting the transfer of that additional money. So I believe that that would be the letter that Cold Lake FCSS is now referring to, that is coming. So no error per se, but
Okay.
however, additional confusion thanks to the additional funding from the province.
Awesome, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Don't want to be in your shoes, so thank you.
You wouldn't fit them. No. Wouldn't fit them, yeah. You think so? Your feet are that small? Yeah, all right. I guess that's good. We're looking for a motion to go on camera. Thank you, Councillor Graviac. Call for the vote. That's carried.